Welcome back, everyone, to the Blues feed. It is the preview time for Brighton. It's the same obsession with a new episode. We're here with Luke today. How we doing, mate?
Yeah, good mate. I'm glad it's Friday and I'm off on my Holly Bobs tomorrow, so I'm quite
You
looking
are
forward to
indeed,
that.
mate. You are, and enjoy that. So we won't have you next week. We'll probably have a guest for the reaction and the preview to the Benfica game, and I'm working on something for the Liverpool game as well. Trying to get a Liverpool fan on for the preview, see what their thoughts are on us, which would be interesting. Before we jump into the episode, um, reminder of the subscriber giveaway. Please drop a subscribe and a comment down below and get entered into the Chelsea 25-26 shirt. To jump into it, we've got the one and only Mangaloka again with the best comment of the episode. It's a bit of a long one, but I will go through it. It's a cliche, but it's time for Maresca now to stand up. I think he's avoiding certain situations, and the big one is Enzo Fernandez. One thing that really stood out with me against Lincoln was how poor he was and has been for a while. This was a game where he should have been the standout player and dictate play. All he managed to do was assist for their goal. We're looking so vulnerable and ridiculous. This ridiculous situation of where we keep conceding first has to stop. I'd like to see Maresca lock it down and play a more orthodox 4-3-3. Santos is overdue a run of games, and he can assist Caicedo in getting a grip of the midfield. The only way I'd start Enzo Fernandez is in a 4-3-3. If we want to play a 4-2-3-1, then he sits on the bench and we play Esteval in the central role. Centre backs has become a real problem now. I'd advocate for Josh being first choice, but it won't happen. It's a lottery with Trossard, Fofana, and Chalobah this season, which is why I wouldn't accept any excuses about a club World Cup hangover. To sum up how mad it all is, we can be grateful that Sanchez is available, as that performance from Jorgensen was on par with the infamous run Besson had many years ago. So, to be honest, um, a big old comment, pretty much dictating a lot of how I feel. The one thing I would say with Enzo Fernandez is he just looks knackered, and he played another like 60, 70 minutes. Oh, mate, did he even come off against Lincoln? It
Yeah,
might
he
have even
played. He
played.
played. He played 70.
So he played another 70 against Lincoln because none of our other midfielders can stay fit. He is always one that does start the season a little bit slower than everybody else. But also, personally, I don't think we're trying to get the best out of him. We're trying to play him as this box crashing midfielder when we should be having him dictating play. I mean, there was a couple of times even against Lincoln where he was a bit deeper and he played a couple of clip balls through over the top, which we saw when we were playing under Potter, which I think is his better role. Um, on the 4-3-3, I prefer the 4-3-3. I would like a 4-3-3. Is one of the reasons I quite like a somebody like an Iriola, sorry, if we were gonna change managers at some point in the future. I like that style of football and that shape of football instead of this inverting bollocks. Um, but I do think that Enzo Fernandez needs to have a rest more than anything because it'd be good to play him against Benfica, and I think Santos has been good when he's come off. Let's see if Maresca has the bollocks to do it. The centre backs are a real problem. I mean, Josh Achimpong played the first game of the season because he had to, because everybody was injured. Man of the match, and I don't think he's seen a minute since, to be honest. I can't remember a minute anyway. Fofana looks completely off it, kind of just fitness and momentum and that type of thing. Tosin and Trev just have a brain fart in them. Tosin's always had that, and I don't know what's kind of wrong with Chalobah at the minute. He's just not. I don't think Chalobah's an unbelievable centre back, but he's just not playing to the level he usually does. And yeah, I never thought I'd be grateful that Sanchez is back for a game, but Jorgensen is fucking shit. So what can we expect? I mean, it was like we had the Lincoln goalie in goal. That's how bad that performance was.
That's a bit
Um,
harsh on the Lincoln goalie, mate. To be
yeah,
honest with
I
you.
mean, it felt a bit harsh when I said it, but like that was the kind of level. I felt like we had a League One goalie in goal, which is mental. I mean, anything you want to kind of add on to that? I know you wanted to talk about a few bits of that, so don't know
Yeah, I
if you
think
want
I
to talk
think
about it
we
now or in a minute.
we will generally cover it through the episode, but yeah, the Jorgensen was just shocking, mate. The one that sums it up is when he come out for the punch and the ball went behind him. Sort of
Yep.
says everything you need to know. On Enzo Fernandez, it's a frustration to be honest because he always tends to be the scapegoat. Yes, okay, he looks a little bit off the pace. Like Danny said, he's probably tired. He plays the most minutes for us almost every year, so he's going to be
He
a
is
little bit
also,
knackered.
just to add to that, sorry, he's also one of the highest ever, like every single week, he's the highest like distance covered. So not
Exactly.
only does he play the most minutes, he also runs around the most, which he doesn't look like it
The
because he's
issue
quite
is
unathletic. But
when he's not playing 50, 60-yard diags, people start moaning about him. That's the problem.
mm,
They expect that from him every game, and not every game needs that, and not every game uses that. So, yes, he hasn't been his usual self in the last couple of games, but you still got to remember he's still sort of 3 or 4 goal involvements already this season. Like without his goals and assists last year, and even so far this season, we wouldn't be as far up the table as we are. So you got to understand that these people are human sometimes, and sometimes they need a rest. Not everyone is a freak like Caicedo or Kante that can play 90 minutes constantly and never look tired. But yeah, I just think it's a little harsh, but I do agree with the 4-3-3 shout. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But that's definitely something that I'd like to see. But unfortunately, we won't see that under this
no
manager.
chance.
And you spoke about Areola by accident, the West Ham goalkeeper. I wouldn't mind him. Wouldn't
Yeah,
mind him.
well, he's probably
Wouldn't
better
mind
than
him in
Maresca.
goal. I
Yeah,
wouldn't mind him in goal, and I'd take him over Maresca at the minute as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but anyway, we'll cover the rest of that I think throughout the episode. To be honest,
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the Brighton game is a massive game. Let's be honest with you, mate. It's absolutely massive for momentum, for form. Um, I think actually let's just go into the predicted to see what we think Maresca will do, and then we can talk about kind of what we'd like to see and the game overall. So the predicted, I think it's pretty standard. It's just going to be Sanchez, James, Trev, Tosin, Cucurella, Caicedo, Enzo, Neto, Garnacho, and Pedro and Esteval. I think the only position that you'd probably say is a bit 50-50 is Garnacho versus Gittins. Garnacho obviously didn't play as many minutes in the week, but is that to do with fitness? That was the most minutes he's played in like nearly 150 games, so I'm not quite sure if he's quite up to it at the moment. So it might be Gittins, but I think that's probably what he'll do. I don't think he'll drop Caicedo. Sorry, he won't drop Enzo for Santos, in my opinion. Anything you want to add on that, mate?
yeah, I'd argue that I wouldn't mind seeing Santos ahead of Garnacho and put Neto on the left, Esteval on the right, and play a bit more of a conventional three-man midfield. But yeah, like I say, we'll come on to that and what our wants are. But I don't see Maresca picking anything aside from this lineup. To be honest, there's sort of 20% chance that maybe Gusto will play over Reece, but I can't see it. Fafana won't start 3 games in a week. And like you say, Gittins may play, but to be honest, neither of them have pulled up trees yet. But Garnacho really hasn't had the chance to yet either. So, yeah, and I think he owes Esteval and Neto a start after ripping them off last week. And I would imagine why they didn't start in midweek is because he's earmarked them to start this game. So, yeah, I like the lineup like that, but I think there's better ways you could line it up, as we will talk about in a sec, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean let's get onto that now. I mean the difference between mine and yours is I've gone more Maresca side, like shape. You've gone more kind of what you want and kind of fuck Maresca. You don't really care.
Well, I
So
think it's just pick a system pick to start your best players. Santos
mhm,
deserves a start. He's been good when he's come off the bench. I thought he was good against United last week. I thought he was our best player by a mile against Lincoln, and probably the only player that come out with any level of respect in that game for Chelsea.
yep,
To be
fair.
honest with you, so I think he deserves to start. You're never going to drop Caicedo, and I just don't see Maresca dropping Enzo Fernandez. What I could imagine him doing is playing Enzo in the 10 with the players that I've selected, but playing Enzo in the 10 and maybe Garnacho, Neto on the left instead of Garnacho, which
Maybe.
is something that he could do. But yeah, I'd like to see Santos start. I think him and Esteval will have a good connection, being Brazilian, being young, and sort of knowing what Brazilian players like. They like the ball to feet, they like runners, and they like to try being direct. So um, I just think that'll get the best out of the three midfielders, which midfield's probably our strongest area of the pitch because we've got some very, very good midfielders. So let's utilise them properly in actual positions that they play. And then I think the defence will pick itself with Fafana not being able to play, and Josh is ill. He might be back, but even if he is back, I just don't see don't
No.
see Maresca picking him. And Joe
Yeah,
Pedro,
that's why he's not in my wanted, just because I don't think he'll be
yeah,
quite up to it because he was obviously had
it's
the
a
sprain.
shame. It's a shame. I think it would have been perfect for him to start against Lincoln. I have no doubt he'd have probably been our best player and then in line to start this game as well. But it's just one of those things. It's probably put him back a little bit. But yeah, João Pedro's the key man. He's the guy. When Cole's out, he's like look how good he was at Old Trafford last weekend, and he had nothing to work with. He was taking
Yeah.
3 or 4 players on at a time. I think he's going to be the guy, and he's playing against his old team, so he's going to have that extra little bit of grip between his teeth to get a couple of goals, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, he likes big occasions. He likes big stories, etc., whatever you want to call it. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if João Pedro pops up with a goal, maybe even a goal and assist, maybe even 2 goals. So yeah, I'm still trying to be positive, but I do have like in the back of my mind like it's, it could be a blow up performance, but let's see what happens.
Wouldn't it be ironic for us to lose and then lose against our feeder club and then play Benfica against probably our best ever manager and lose, and then Maresca goes? Won't happen, but
Mate, if we
yeah,
lose to Brighton and we lose to Benfica and then we lose to Liverpool, going into an international break with a bit of tension behind the scenes, you never know.
I just don't see it, man. Yeah, I don't
It,
like
but as
always.
I said last
I
week,
don't
it
get
all depends on
confused.
how toxic it is behind the scenes,
Yeah,
and obviously we never know about that until
true.
it's too late, and all of a sudden it will come out. Matt Law will drop his article, and he'll go, "Oh, Maresca's been doing this, and the players hated this, and
The thing is,
blah blah
I
blah."
don't want people to get confused. I want Chelsea to win every game of football available. Of course, I'm
Absolutely,
a Chelsea fan, but I lost faith in Maresca a long time ago, and I said it at the start of the season. Like the Club World Cup win was nice. It gave me a little bit of faith that maybe he could adapt and be a little bit more versatile with things. But we get into this season and we haven't done that. We don't look as up for games as we did in the Club World Cup. We don't seem as energetic. We seem very lethargic and just boring, to be honest with you. The decisions are getting a bit too much, and this isn't me going like it's time for him to go or any of that bollocks. But I just don't know if long term or even short term he's the man to take us to the next step now. I think he did do a good job last season in hindsight. There were obviously moments where it didn't feel so good, and there were moments where it felt better than others. But we got into the top four. We won 2 trophies, although one of them was a tap in. But there's still 2 trophies regardless. Like nobody will ever remember the run in 10 years' time. You'll just remember a trophy. So you have to say well done to him for that. And he did do a good job. And he was probably the right man to take over from Poch and just sort of bed these youngsters through. He's got a lot of experience working with young players, but I'm just not sure that he's the one to take us to the next level. I'm not saying I know who is the one, but I'm a little bit I'm a bit skeptical, to be honest with you, mate. And yeah, I just think that it's something that is probably in the back of the minds of the directors. It's
my
probably
biggest issue is the fact that last season we obviously started well. He kind of got a bit more control on the Poch basketball style football, but still played in transition. We then got into his way of playing and we went on a terrible run. Like, didn't win a game for like 15, 20 games, it felt like. I feel like if we didn't have the Conference League, I don't know if we would have kind of been able to bring it back because we got the good feeling like in on a Thursday when we spanked some terrible side. But to be fair to him, he turned it round and blah blah blah, and we won the Conference League and we got top five and we got the Champions League and then we went into the Club World Cup and I was very impressed. And I said to you and Simon and Jay in our group chat that I will give him a bit of a fresh start and I'll try and kind of stay positive. He's done well, but I'm just seeing the same stuff over and over again of he's just being very stubborn in what he's doing. doesn't know how to change a game particularly well, keeps making consistent errors. And the thing is, I have no faith that he will be able to change it and turn it around, because last time we went through a 3 month spell of being terrible. And if we go through a 3 month spell of being terrible now, let's assume that this is the first month of it, or like kind of take that into account. If we go to November and we're still playing terrible, and then we go into a December period, I just worry that like we could spiral the season, and then I want the club to react. I mean, I echo your thoughts. I want every player to drop a 10 out of 10 every week. I want the manager to do well every week, and we win every game, so I don't have to moan about anything. Obviously, that's not feasible, and I'm not expecting that, and I don't put my expectations on that. But that's what I want as a Chelsea fan. I want to win the game, and every single game 4-0, and I don't want to be moaning. I just don't have confidence that he's the right man. I don't have confidence that if we continue in this sticky spell, he can turn it around. And I worry that there's stuff going on behind the scenes after the summer and the transfer window, which he's spoken about publicly, which owners and directors never like. And if it continues going, if it keeps going this way, I just hope the club react quickly if that's what they think is the right thing to do. But
it does feel a little bit like there's a grey cloud hanging over the club at the minute, where
it
it's like,
gives it
or is
gives
the
me
sun going to come
Abramovich
back?
vibes.
Yeah, it's like, is the sun going to come back out, or is it just going to piss down with rain? And you really
Yeah.
don't know which way it'll go. Without going
My
too
problem is that
far
my
away,
confidence is I can't see the sun coming out,
yeah,
because I
you can
don't.
only see the rain coming.
It took him so long to get it back last time that if it takes that long this time, he won't have a job,
Yeah,
and
this is
we
the
could
thing now.
be
We're going to
on
get
the
a
edge
taste
of
of.
going out of the Champions League, and on the edge of like so far behind in the league that it could be too late by that point. But we'll see.
We're going to get a taste of Champions League football, and the owners aren't going to want to give that up. So there will be a
Mm.
decision to make at some point. Without going too far off on a tangent, and literally, let's just give this a minute. But if it was to happen and Maresca was to go, do you have a couple of people in mind, one person in mind, any people in mind that you'd want to replace him, who you think could be the one to take us to that next step, to that real challenging for the league level?
I think the problem is that the elite managers aren't available. You can't go get Pep. You're not going to get Klopp. Alonso's at Real Madrid, etc. So there's not that many like available that are kind of ready-made. Come in, do your job. You know what you're going to get out of them, and unless you're going to go and get Tuchel out of England, which one I don't think you two could, and two you're not going to. They're not going to do that. So there's no point talking about that. So the one I like is Areola or Iriola, whatever. It's actually
Hey,
Iriola.
let's take them both.
Yeah, I like Iriola in the way that he plays. He's quite pragmatic, but also has his way of playing. It's none of this it's none of this new tactical bollocks, which actually you're seeing everybody go away from now. Like Pep's not playing it. Um, Teta's not playing it. Thomas Frank's not playing it. Like, so this inverted 3-2-5 isn't anybody playing it at the moment, and it's not working for us. So like, yeah, Iriola I quite like. I did like Thomas Frank, as I've said on Simon's podcast last year. So yeah, probably Iriola's the one I like the most. I don't know. Well, unless you're going to get Cesc, I quite like Cesc, but again,
I just
still
feel
a
like
little
too
bit.
similar, yeah, too
Yeah.
similar of a mold. I feel like the next one's got to be the one that takes us on another level, and I think Iraola I understand, because he's probably the one of, if not the one in the Premier League that you're like, he's going to be the next elite manager.
Mm.
So it's sort of like trying to take an upwards curve where you're taking a player that, if I can compare it to a footballer, sort of Van Dijk when he was at Southampton, you knew when he took the next move up, he was just going to go on leaps and bounds. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's sort of the Iraola in manager terms. Whereas, like,
Mm.
we took Maresca, who's more like a Joe Gomez, let's say. He took the leap, but he's not quite good enough to be there for a long period of time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
So I don't
I
know. That's probably the only one that I could advocate for. I don't think
The thing is,
Um,
we've got so many players now that are set to this sort of keep ball, pass the ball about sort of method
don't
that
know.
I think there's quite a few, but it's going to be hard to then flip that completely. Where Iraola isn't quite like that, but like you say, he's a bit more pragmatic. Obviously, he wants his teams to control the game, but
Mm.
he's a bit more pragmatic, a little bit more fluid in attack, and I think that would probably suit quite a few of our players. Anyway,
Yeah, I mean
that's
that would.
very
I think
hypothetical.
it would unlock the attack because he'd play Enzo in a normal traditional eight role. He'd have three in midfield, I would assume. So you get more of Santos. You might like, for example, you're going to get Palmer playing a bit more transition style football. So you're going to unlock him. That suits Garnacho. That suits Gittins. That would suit Esteval. That would suit Pedro. That would suit Delap. Like you're going to see more traditional fullbacks. They're not like bombing on wing backs, but they're traditional fullbacks. So you're going to get more out of James. You're going to get more out of Gusto. Hayto's played that way at Ajax. So I don't see it as a bad fit. But anyway, hypotheticals. Anyway, we'll see
Yeah,
if we lose the next three, we'll maybe spend a bit more time on that
yeah,
in the international break. But as we said, we are Chelsea fans. We want to win. I'm predicting a win. You're predicting a win. So to round out the episode, let's go on to our predictions for the game. I've gone 3-1. A Pedro Esteval Garnacho trio with Esteval man of the match. I think Esteval's the one that has to step up and take the Palmer reins while he's out. Unless we find out that he's not out. But obviously we've heard the reporting that he is. So yeah, I think Esteban needs to step up, uh, and will step up. I think he's ready. We need to stop kind of wrapping him in cotton wool. Just go play him. Wrap him up minutes wise, but go and play him. Overall, let's not play him week in, week out, week in, week out. Monday, Saturday, Thursday, Saturday, Wednesday. But let's give him minutes. So yeah, that's my score prediction. That's what I believe we should do. I do have a little bit of doubt in my mind that we won't because Brighton will be on it. Brighton will come at us. There's like not between the hierarchy, but between the fan base. Brighton and Chelsea don't particularly like each other. They loved beating us last year to knock us out
I
the
don't I
cup.
don't think
So
Chelsea fans really actually care that much about Brighton. I think Brighton care a lot
Brighton
about
care about
Chelsea.
us. Yeah, 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 for
Yeah,
sure.
they're
And
trying to
then
force a rivalry, aren't they?
yeah, they are. But we just buy all their best players, so that's probably quite jarring, to be fair. Um, And then you've gone 2-1, Pedro double and an Esteval man of the match. I mean, anything you want to add to kind of your predictions?
No, I just expect João Pedro to just be the man. I just think when Palmer's out, and even when Palmer's there, Pedro he's just got that sort of aura and vibe about him that he is the top dog, he's the bollocks sort of thing. And I think Esteval will just flourish. To be honest with you, I think he hasn't started at home in the league yet, has he, Esteval? So I think
I
it'll
believe
be a
so,
good
no?
time for it. Be a good time for him to start and flourish a little. 3 o'clock on a Saturday, which is a rarity for Chelsea.
Yeah, it is, to be
I'll
fair.
be watching it on my iPad in the airport.
Lovely. Cool, mate. Well, enjoy your holiday. Um, we will be back on Monday, I believe, where we will have guest for the review of the game and looking forward to the Benfica game, which I'm actually going to, which will be nice. So everybody drop a comment down below, let us know your thoughts, drop us a follow across all socials, and we will catch you all next time. Peace.